Let's see. It does look abandoned, and nobody's really out here, so I think we should go look at some spots. Looper, one of the best sci-fi movies from the last 10 or 15 years. Actually, there's been a lot of great sci-fi movies in the last 10, 15 years. We've kind of had a boom of those, but Looper is a great one. Time traveling, all that stuff. Starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Emily Blunt, Paul Dano's in there for a bit. Just a great movie. And here is where the diner once stood. It was built for the movie, and it was left there for a little while, but I guess it got too destroyed and they brought it all down, but it was sitting right here. Let me back up so I can try to line this shot up with the image. Diner was sitting right there, kind of where those yellow things are, but you can also see this house in the background, and the white one all the way at the end there. And the first person to find this spot was a Redditor who was just obsessed with finding it. He came and drove around for hours until he finally came across it. Also forgot to mention, of course, Bruce Willis in the movie, especially in the scenes with the diner, which was standing about right here. And I'll show you that we are in the middle of nowhere. Look at that. Looks like a shot from Looper. Where Joseph Gordon-Levitt explains what closing a loop means. Do that right here. This is the Market Street electrical plant. It was put here in the early 1900s. It supplied electricity to all of New Orleans up until the 70s when they closed it down, and it's been sitting here abandoned since then. So it's very unsafe for me to be back here, and I'm going to go ahead and head out. There was a shot, I'll show you over here. The scene where Bruce Willis escapes the guys about to send him through the loop happened in that door. I'll show you some images. You can see the power plant in the background outside of the huge door, but I'm not going to do it because I've already passed a couple of homeless guys. It's very dangerous in there. There's a ton of asbestos and stuff from what I've heard. So that's going to do it for this spot. Here on Natchez Street is where we first meet Paul Dano's character, where Joseph Gordon-Levitt meets him. He's trying to get his motorcycle, his futuristic motorcycle working. There's this really cool mural on this garage door. That's no longer there. And we can see him getting upset with the homeless guy that's messing with them, asking him if he has any money or anything, and he threatens him with his blunderbuss, the weapon he uses to perform his executions with. Then we see a shot pointing from this direction. Here we are at the club from Looper. We see the front entrance of it a few times. Not sure if they filmed inside of this building, but this was the exterior where they all walked in. That parking garage entrance is where they built the entrance to the club. And we also see this parking lot in the movie a few times as well. Got a mail delivery. There's a shot where a cop pulls into the parking lot over here. And we see him turn this way. And then you also see Paul Dano and Joseph Gordon-Levitt get out, about in there somewhere. There was like another area built onto this wall. But that was all done here. Okay, we're standing in an alleyway in New Orleans. This is the back of a bunch of restaurants, and there's kind of a dual timeline thing going on. They show you one, and then they show you Bruce Willis's perspective. But this was the exterior of Joseph Gordon-Levitt's apartment. So looking up here, you see that they built or CGI'd an apartment in this space here. Because when he comes down the ladder, you can match up those gutters to the movie. And so we see a wind. We see Bruce Willis hiding behind a car about right here. And he's watching everything going on. And then you see Joseph Gordon-Levitt fall from his apartment and crash down onto a car right about in front of this garage door. Where you can see those columns there in the background. So it's right about here. And it just shows up the ladder. Bam. So with the way they filmed this alley sequence, it's kind of disorienting because he makes it look like this section is down there, and the section I'm about to tell you about is actually right below this thing that goes in between the buildings. So Bruce Willis walks by this open spot in between the two buildings, and there's a bad guy in his car sitting there. And we see Bruce Willis walk past a green door and some windows, which are these here. And after he walks past, the driver notices and he reaches down to get his gun from under what was sitting on the seat, like a magazine or something. By the time he looks up, Bruce Willis is back, facing him with the shotgun, and blows his brains out right through the windshield. So then after he does that, it looks like he goes off in this direction, which he does in the movie. But what was filmed after that is actually back over in this direction. So down in the Algiers neighborhood of New Orleans, just under this bridge, and this is the scene after he shoots the kid. He walks out from this gate here, walks past that house, which has been fixed up a little bit, walks across the street and leans up against one of these poles. So here's the other side of the street. Where the kid goes across. Here's the other spot where he goes and attempts to kill the other kid. He walks over in this direction. The buildings are all different today, and the dew point is insane. As you can see, my lens fogging up as I speak. We have arrived at the farmhouse, just a short distance from the diner location, which is over in the corner there. This house looks like it's been abandoned probably since the movie was made. I mean, it is really deteriorated. Aerial shots do not show this building before the movie was being filmed, so it is, you know, it's understandable to think that this could have been made for the movie specifically. And let's see, it does look abandoned and nobody's really out here, so I think we should go look at some spots. Over here is where he's hiding in the crops before he meets Emily Blunt, and she comes out with the shotgun threatening him, saying that her gun will chop him in half. slice him in half if he comes on the property. Some more scenes happen on the other side of this barn. Let's go walk over there. Here's the barn from the movie. The door's fallen over, so you can see some stuff in there. I believe where that part was filmed was done over in this angle. She shoots him right in there in the entryway when she comes out. I don't want to be out here too long, but I think there's a way back on that side. It's probably where she was. I think it's funny, she's just continually chopping this stump out in the yard. Not this stump right here. This tree was actually still there when the movie was filmed, but I just thought that was funny. I think that's probably way back in that corner. So maybe I can see. I don't know if that was a real stump or not. When she first finds him, he's having withdrawals from his eye drop drugs, and she brings him up on the porch here to rest. The kid comes down and says, "What? Who's that guy?" I don't think I'll be able to see through the windows, but there is a okay, door's locked. From this angle we see Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Emily Blunt run back into the house. I don't see any stumps over here, so either they removed it, she finally chopped it away, or that was just added there. Here's the last area of the house I want to show you. There are some parts where they come out of this door. Yeah, how crazy is this? It's the back side of the abandoned farmhouse from the movie Looper. Over here is where he came up. I would say if you want to do Looper locations, now is the time, because this house is not going to be here for much longer. I mean, look how much it's deteriorated in just 10 years. Three spots right here. I'll show you the first one. All the way down at the end of this street, the opposite corner is where the diner was. This is the abandoned farm, and then the barn here. And then the third location, which we're about to drive down to, is where the climax of the movie happens. Just where the tree line begins. So let's head over there. So here we are at the tree line, and this is where the climax of Looper happened. I'm gonna go ahead and give a spoiler alert, because I gotta describe what happened here if you haven't seen it. Bruce Willis is coming to kill this kid, and his mom, Emily Blunt, is trying to escape with him, and they drive the truck down this way from the farmhouse. You can see the barn right there and the farmhouse. They drive this way. Bruce Willis is facing them, gets out with the gun, the kid freaks out, and with his telekinesis flips the truck about right here. And then they come running across this way. After that, Joseph Gordon-Levitt shows up. Those two are running into some crops, which are not grown up right now. But over here somewhere, the kid runs to the crops. He's going to kill Emily Blunt, because she's keeping him from killing the child. And by the way, Bruce Willis is Joseph, the older version of Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And JGL sees this happening and he's like, I gotta stop the loop. And he flips the shotgun around on himself about this area and ends that loop. Because he knows that what would have happened is he would have ended up killing the mom. Well, you know what? I can explain it, but you've either already seen it or it's not going to make sense. So I would say just watch the movie. But here's where all the stuff at the end happens. And here's Virginia. Virginia is, you know, she's not a fan of muggy humidity, so she is patiently waiting, being a trooper, team player, while I go out to these crazy remote filming locations.